$5 million. The note read, "For the last 3 years, we're even." On the stage, my wife was locked in a deep embrace with her childhood friend. The room erupted in applause. No one knew how utterly insane this whole wedding was. The chime from my banking app, notifying me of the $5 million deposit, was a piercing shriek against the melody of the wedding march. I stood on the polished floor, staring at the woman in the white dress. Sophia Reed, my wife of 3 years. Today was her childhood friend's wedding, and she was supposed to be the maid of honor. But the wire transfer note read, "For the last 3 years, we're even." My hands started to shake. On stage, the groom began his vows. "I, Ryan Evans, take you, Sophia Reed, to be my lawfully wedded wife, for richer or for poorer." Wait, Ryan Evans was the groom, yes, but the bride was supposed to be someone else. I was frozen, my mind a complete blank. The guests around me were clapping, their laughter echoing in the grand ballroom. Wow! Ryan and Sophia are a perfect match. A real power couple. I'm so jealous. I heard Ryan's family has 3 companies. Sophia really married into a dynasty this time. The world began to spin. When did Sophia become the bride? Wasn't she the maid of honor? I fumbled for my phone, frantically scrolling through our texts. 3 days ago, Sophia had told me, "Honey, my childhood friend Ryan is getting married, and I'm the maid of honor. You don't need to come. You two don't really know each other." I'd been so understanding. "Okay, have fun. I'll be waiting for you at home." Now it was clear. The childhood friend was the man on the stage, and she was the bride. I kept scrolling back. 1 month ago. Sophia, "Honey, work is going to be crazy for a while. I'll probably be working late a lot." Me, "That's tough. Make sure you get some rest." 2 months ago. Sophia, "Babe, I have to go on a business trip for a week. You'll have to fend for yourself." Me, "Okay, be safe." 3 months ago. Sophia, "Honey, I want to get into yoga. I signed up for some private classes." Me, "I support you. Health is the most important thing." Every message was a knife in my heart. The late nights, the business trips, the yoga classes. It was all a goddamn lie. She was dating this Ryan Evans, planning their wedding, and I, her legal husband, was kept in the dark like a complete idiot. The officiant on stage smiled. "The groom may now kiss the bride." Sophia rose on her toes and kissed Ryan, her hands cupping his face. In that moment, I felt my heart being ripped out of my chest. She had kissed me just like that 3 years ago at our own wedding. She had whispered, "Honey, you're the only one I'll ever love." Now, she was using the same tender gesture on another man. Tears streamed down my face, hot and uncontrollable. Everyone was celebrating, lost in the moment. No one noticed the broken man in the corner. I wanted to storm the stage, to scream, to tell everyone that this woman was already married. But I couldn't move. I saw the look in her eyes as she gazed at Ryan. It was a light I had never seen before. A light that had never, not once, been directed at me. She was truly in love with him, and I was just a placeholder, a tool she used until something better came along. My phone buzzed again. A new text. "Sophia, Alex, let's get a divorce. My lawyer is ready. Go to his office tomorrow to sign the papers. The financial settlement is the amount I just sent you. The house and the car are yours. My name is Alex Carter. I'm 32, a finance manager for a mid-sized company. 3 years ago, I married Sophia Reed. She was a fresh college graduate, working as a copywriter at an ad agency. I was 5 years older, with a stable job and a decent income. Her parents seemed happy with the match. Our wedding was simple, a small reception at a hotel with a dozen tables. On our wedding night, she'd said, "Honey, let's build a good life together. Forever." I believed her. For 3 years, I treated her like a princess. I bought her anything she wanted. She wanted to learn makeup, so I paid for an $800 course. She wanted a designer bag, so I gritted my teeth and bought her a $2,000 Louis Vuitton. She wanted a new phone, so I gave her my iPhone 14 and went back to using my old one. I thought my devotion would earn her loyalty. I never imagined she had already moved on, and so completely, so ruthlessly, that she was ending our marriage with a wire transfer. $5 million. To her, 3 years of my life and love were worth $5 million. "Alex, what are you doing here?" A familiar voice cut through my haze. I turned to see my old college buddy, Mark. "Mark," I managed, forcing a smile. "You here for Ryan's wedding too?" he asked. clapping me on the shoulder. I'm one of his best men. You? My mouth opened, but no words came out. What could I say? I'm the bride's legal husband. I just came to check out the party. Mark laughed. Ryan really hit the jackpot this time. Sophia's not just gorgeous. Her family's loaded. I heard her dad owns a bunch of factories down south, worth hundreds of millions. I froze. Sophia's family was rich? How did I not know this? Her parents were retired school teachers, living in a modest house in a small town in Ohio. I'd met them. They were simple, down-to-earth people who wore department store clothes. Mark, are you sure you've got that right? He shook his head. No way. Ryan told me himself. Sophia's family is in textiles, a huge name in the Carolinas. My mind raced. If Sophia's family was that wealthy, why hide it? Why pretend to be from a normal, middle-class family? Why marry me, a regular finance manager? Unless it was all an act from the very beginning. Marrying me was just a stepping stone. Now that she'd found a better option, it was time to discard the old baggage. Mark, what does Ryan do? Runs his own company. A couple hundred employees, I think. But it's nothing compared to Sophia's family. Mark looked at the stage with envy. Ryan really married up. Married up? If Sophia was a secret heiress, then she and Ryan were the ones who were a perfect match. And I was just a joke. The ceremony continued. The officiant asked them to exchange rings. I watched as Sophia slipped her wedding band. My wedding band. Off her finger and casually dropped it into a nearby trash can. Then, she slid on the diamond Ryan had for her. It had to be at least 3 carats, sparkling under the chandeliers, worth more than I could even guess. Her face was radiant with a kind of joy I had never seen on her. It hit me then. In 3 years, she had never once worn our wedding ring when we went out. She always took it off, saying she was afraid of losing it. Now I knew the truth. She was afraid of someone seeing it, afraid someone would find out she was married, afraid it would ruin her chances of landing a bigger fish. I pulled out my phone and opened my photo gallery. It was full of pictures of us. But looking closely now, I could see that in every single photo, her left hand was artfully hidden or her ring finger was obscured. She was even hiding it in pictures meant only for us. The woman's cunning was terrifying. And now, let's welcome the parents of the bride and groom to the stage. The officiant boomed. 4 people walked onto the stage. I recognized 2 of them. Sophia's parents, but they were completely transformed. Her father wore a tailored suit and a Rolex. Her mother was in a chic silk gown, a string of pearls around her neck. These weren't the humble retirees I knew. These were titans of industry. They smiled. Not a hint of awkwardness on their faces. It was as if they had never met me, their son-in-law, before. The officiant continued. And now, a few words from the father of the bride. Sophia's father took the microphone. Friends and family, today is a joyous day for my daughter, Sophia. Ryan is a fine young man, and his mother and I are very pleased. We wish them a lifetime of happiness and hope they give us grandchildren soon. A lifetime of happiness? Grandchildren? I wanted to laugh, but my throat was too tight. Your daughter has a husband standing right here in this room. How can you be so shameless? The crowd cheered. Everyone was offering their blessings. I felt like I was in a different dimension, a ghost watching a world I was no longer a part of. My phone chimed again. A text message this time. Alex, please be at Sterling & Associates at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I've sent you the address. Bring your ID and our marriage certificate. Sophia. The marriage certificate. I pictured the little red booklet in our drawer at home. It had our younger faces, our signatures. The day we got it, she had cried in my arms. Honey, I'm so happy, she'd sobbed. We're finally a family. Were those tears real or fake? Looking back, she was probably already planning her escape. The wedding was moving into its final phase. The couple toasting each table. They started at the head table, moving methodically through the room. I was in the farthest corner. They shouldn't have even gotten to me. But Sophia walked right over. She held a glass of champagne. A perfect smile plastered on her face. Thank you all for coming to celebrate with us, she said. Her voice as sweet as it was 3 years ago. I looked up at her. This close. I could see her flawless makeup. She was like a porcelain doll. Her eyes met mine, and a flicker of panic crossed her face. But it was gone in an instant, replaced by a cool composure. And you, sir, thank you for coming. May I ask your name? She was pretending not to know me. A masterclass in acting. I stood up and took the glass she offered. My name is Alex Carter. Mr. Carter, thank you for celebrating with us. My pleasure, I said, downing the champagne in one gulp. Congratulations on your wedding. I wish you a long and happy marriage. She bit her lip and turned away. I watched her walk away, my heart a dead, cold weight in my chest. Just now, she had called me Mr. Carter. Not honey, not Alex. A complete stranger. That was the end of our 3-year marriage. I was now a stranger to her. The reception ended, and guests began to leave. I stood up, ready to go home. Alex? A surprised voice called out. I turned to see Sophia's college roommate, Megan. Megan. She hurried over, her face a mask of confusion. What are you doing here? Sophia told me you too. She trailed off, her expression turning pained. What did she tell you? I asked. Megan hesitated. She said you'd already gotten a divorce, that it was amicable. Divorce? Amicable? I let out a bitter laugh. We're getting divorced, all right? Signing the papers tomorrow. Megan's eyes went wide. What? Then this wedding today. The bride at this wedding, I said calmly, is my wife. Or, to be more precise, my soon-to-be ex-wife. Megan covered her mouth. Oh my God, how could Sophia do this? I patted her shoulder. Megan, don't say anything. If she wants a new life, I'll give it to her. Her eyes welled up. Alex, you were so good to her. How could she? Maybe I wasn't good enough, I said, forcing a smile. I'm going to head out. You get home safe. I walked out of the hotel. A cold, light rain had started to fall. I didn't have an umbrella, so I just walked, letting the rain soak me. I couldn't tell if the water on my face was from the sky or from my own eyes. 3 years. I thought we would be together forever. I thought she truly loved me. I thought all the sweet words were real. Now I knew. It was all a fantasy of my own making. From the very beginning, we were from different worlds. She was a secret heiress, high on a pedestal. I was just an ordinary guy with a 9-to-5. Our marriage was a mistake from the start. Now, she was returning to her world, and I had to learn how to live alone. Back at our apartment, the emptiness was suffocating. Traces of her were everywhere. The lotions on her vanity, the clothes in the closet, the potted plants she kept on the balcony. I went into the bedroom, opened the drawer, and took out our marriage certificate. Her smile in the photo was still so bright. I tore it to shreds, the pieces fluttering to the floor like the ashes of our marriage. My phone buzzed. A text from my bank. Account balance. $5 000 000 00 $5 million. Her severance package for me. I remembered her text. The financial settlement is the amount I just sent you. She thought this was fair. I turned off my phone and fell onto the bed. Tomorrow, I would go to the lawyer's office and sign the papers. After that, we would be completely, irrevocably done. She could be Ryan Evans's wife, openly and proudly, and I would have to learn to forget the last 3 years. But I knew, deep down, some wounds never heal. Some betrayals can never be forgotten. Sophia, you won. You got the life you wanted. I just hope you don't live to regret it. The rain had stopped, but the sky was still a heavy, bruised gray. I clutched my ID. I'd torn up the marriage certificate, but not before taking a picture of it. The law firm, Sterling & Associates, was on the 18th floor of a glass tower in Midtown Manhattan, the kind of place that smelled like money and ambition. The receptionist glanced up from her screen. Can I help you, sir? I'm here to see Sophia Reed's divorce attorney. You must be Mr. Alex Carter. Right this way. She led me into a conference room. A man in a tailored suit was already seated at the long mahogany table. Mr. Carter. I'm William King, Ms. Reed's counsel. His tone was polite, but I could feel the disdain in his eyes. Where is Ms. Reed? I asked. Ms. Reed has an important engagement today and could not be present. However, she has already signed all the necessary documents. He slid a thick stack of papers across the table. This is the divorce agreement. Please review it, and if there are no issues, you can sign. I picked it up and read through it carefully. The asset division was spelled out clearly. The residential property is awarded to Alex Carter. The vehicle is awarded to Alex Carter. Sophia Reed will provide a one-time compensation of $5 million to Alex Carter. Both parties declare no further property disputes. On the surface, it seemed generous. She was giving me the condo and the car, but I knew that together they were worth maybe $500,000. Tops. She was buying my silence and 3 years of my life for $5 million and thought she was being magnanimous. Mr. King, I have a question. Please. What is Sophia Reed's net worth? The lawyer paused. Mr. Carter. That's confidential information. Then what's the name of her family's company? His expression soured. Mr. Carter. These questions are not relevant to the divorce proceedings. I got it. They didn't want me to know who she really was. They were afraid I'd change my mind and demand a real settlement. One last question, then. I looked him straight in the eye. When did Sophia hire you to handle this divorce? Mr. King shuffled through his files. 6 months ago. 6 months? My heart hammered against my ribs. 6 months ago was when Sophia had just started her yoga classes. She had been planning this for half a year. And I, like a fool, had been telling her to take care of herself. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Carter? The lawyer glanced at his watch. I have another case this afternoon. I picked up the pen and signed my name on the divorce agreement. When will the process be finalized? Within a week. I will file with the court, and you'll be notified when it's official. I stood up to leave. Mr. Carter. Mr. King called after me. Ms. Reed asked me to pass along a message. What is it? She said, thank you for taking care of me for 3 years. I hope you find someone who truly loves you. I let out a cold laugh. Tell her she can keep her well wishes. Walking out of that building, I felt a strange sense of relief. At least the charade was finally over. I turned on my phone and saw a dozen missed calls from my mom. I called her back immediately. Alex, you finally answered. Her voice was frantic. Sophia's mother just called me. She said you two are getting a divorce? What's going on? I was silent for a moment. Mom, it's true. Why? Everything seemed fine. Sophia just sent me that fancy coffee maker for my birthday. Mom, it's a long story. She found someone else. The other end of the line went quiet. Alex, come home. We need to talk about this in person. Okay, Mom. I drove the 2 hours back to my parents' small town in Pennsylvania. Their house was modest but filled with warmth. The moment my mom saw me, her eyes turned red. Alex, what happened? How could Sophia have another man? I told her everything that had happened at the wedding. By the time I finished, my mom was shaking with rage. That's Sophia Reed. I completely misjudged her. My dad had been smoking silently in his armchair. After a long while, he finally spoke. Alex, what's your plan now? Get the divorce. Start over. What about the settlement? I showed them the agreement. My dad read it. His brow furrowed. Alex, this isn't right. What's wrong with it? If her family is as rich as you say, then her deceiving you for 3 years is grounds for fraud. You could fight for a much larger share of the marital assets. I shook my head. Dad, it's not worth it. I don't want anything more to do with her. But, Dad, 5 million is more than enough. I'm one person. I'll never spend it all. My dad sighed. You're a good kid, Alex. Too honest for your own good. My mom was wiping her eyes. This is all my fault. I shouldn't have pushed you to get married so young. It's not your fault, Mom. It was me. I made a bad call. I stayed the night. The next morning, my mom made my favorite breakfast, sunny side up eggs. Alex, next time, find a good, down-to-earth woman. None of this fancy stuff. I know, Mom. In my heart, I knew it would be a long time before I dated anyone again. After what Sophia did, my trust in people was shot. Back in the city, I got a call from Mr. King. Mr. Carter, the divorce is finalized. You can pick up the decree tomorrow. Okay. One more thing. Ms. Reed asked if you're still living in the condo. If not, she'd like to buy it back. I paused. It was our marital home, right in the heart of the city. We'd bought it for $300,000. Now, with the market, it was probably worth $500,000. She wanted to buy it back. How much is she offering? I asked. $500,000. Not for sale, I said flatly. Mr. Carter, that's the current market rate. I said it's not for sale. I hung up. Let her live in her mansion. This condo was mine now, and I wasn't selling it to her. The next day, I picked up the divorce decree from the law office. The document felt heavy in my hand. Starting today, I was a single man. A 32-year-old single man. I drove aimlessly through the streets, and before I knew it, I was parked outside the little Italian place we used to go to. Their Cacio e Pepe was Sophia's favorite. Whenever we argued, I'd bring her here, and her anger would melt away. Now I wondered if even her happiness then was just an act. I went inside. Table for how many? The host asked. Just one. I sat by the window and ordered our usual. Cacio e pepe for her, and spaghetti bolognese for me. The food came and I ate alone. The pasta tasted the same, but it was bitter in my mouth. I remembered the first time we came here, 3 years ago. Sophia was just an intern making minimum wage. She was so careful ordering, trying to pick the cheapest things on the menu. It's okay, I told her. Order whatever you want. She'd smiled. A pure, innocent smile. Then I want the Cacio e pepe. It's my absolute favorite. Looking back, even that was probably part of the act. The simple, kind-hearted college girl. The easily pleased girlfriend. The loving wife. She was a phenomenal actress. Good enough to fool me, the man who shared her bed. For 3 years. As I was lost in thought, my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. Hello? Is this Alex Carter? Yes. This is Ryan Evans. I nearly dropped my fork. Ryan Evans? Sophia's new husband? Why was he calling me? What do you want? I tried to keep my voice steady. I'd like to meet with you. There are some things I need to clear up. What is there to talk about between us? Please. Just give me half an hour. I hesitated. Where? Where are you now? I can come to you. I gave him the address. 20 minutes later, Ryan Evans walked in. He was younger than me, maybe 26 or 27. And handsome, I had to admit. I could see why Sophia chose him. Mr. Carter. He sat down across from me. Mr. Evans, I replied coolly. Congratulations on your wedding. His face flushed. Mr. Carter, about Sophia. I owe you an apology. An apology? I put down my fork. What for? I know you and Sophia weren't officially divorced when we had the wedding. It wasn't right. I scoffed. Not right? Mr. Evans, what you did is called bigamy. It's illegal. His expression darkened. Mr. Carter, you're right. But what? But Sophia told me you two had been separated for a long time. That you were just waiting on the paperwork. I nodded slowly. She's right. We were separated. For one whole night. One night. Ryan looked stunned. That's right. The night before your wedding. I watched his face crumble. Mr. Evans, it seems your new bride didn't tell you the whole story. Ryan's hands were shaking. Mr. Carter, you mean? I mean that 3 days ago, Sophia Reed was still my wife. We lived together. We slept in the same bed. We lived a normal married life. The color drained from Ryan's face. That's impossible. Sophia said you'd been apart for months. What else did she tell you? I was genuinely curious now. That I was a terrible husband? That there was no love between us? Ryan nodded. I pulled out my phone, found the text exchange with Sophia from the night before the wedding, and laid it on the table. Sophia. Honey, I might be home a little late tonight. You can go to bed first. Me. Okay. Be safe. Sophia. Love you. Me. Love you too. After Ryan read it, his face was ashen. Mr. Carter, I had no idea. Now you do, I said, putting my phone away. Mr. Evans, your bride is a very good actress. She even had you fooled. Ryan stared at the table, speechless. After a long moment, he looked up at me. Mr. Carter, what are you going to do now? What can I do? The divorce is final. What's done is done. So our wedding. Your wedding was a sham, Mr. Evans, I said bluntly. It's not legally recognized. At best, you two are cohabitating. Ryan's face paled even further. But, I added, shifting my tone, if you two are truly in love, you can have another wedding after my divorce is officially registered with the state. When will that be? Next week. Ryan nodded. Thank you for telling me all this. You're welcome. I stood up. Mr. Evans, a word of advice. Yes. Be careful. Your new bride is very good at pretending. With that, I walked out of the restaurant, leaving Ryan Evans sitting there, frozen. I imagined his mind was a whirlwind of confusion and betrayal. Discovering your new wife is a pathological liar is a tough pill for any man to swallow. But that wasn't my problem anymore. Sophia chose him. She had to live with the consequences. And I had to start a new life. My phone rang. An unknown number. Hello? Mr. Carter. My name is Frank. I'm a private investigator. I was hired to look into your marital situation. A pie? Who would be investigating me? Who hired you? I can't disclose that, but I can tell you my client wanted to know the truth about your ex-wife. Sophia Reed. I paused. What did you find? Is there somewhere we can meet? Where? The coffee shop downstairs from your office. 10 minutes later, I was sitting across from Frank, a man in his 40s with shrewd, intelligent eyes. Mr. Carter, he said, getting straight to it. What did you find out? I asked. Frank opened a folder. Sophia Reed's real identity. He slid a file across the table, filled with photos and documents. Her real name is Sophia Reed. But that's not the whole story. She's the sole heiress to the Reed Global Textiles fortune. Conservative estimate of her family's net worth is $500 million. $500 million? I sucked in a sharp breath. Frank continued. After she graduated from college, her family set her up with a cushy job in the family business. She didn't want it. She wanted to strike out on her own, prove she could make it without their help. So she came to New York, hid her identity, and tried to make a name for herself. But starting a business from scratch is hard. She needed a stable support system, so she found someone like you to marry. It all clicked into place. Marrying me was her safety net. If her ventures failed, she still had a dependable, working-class husband to fall back on. Then why divorce me now? Frank flipped through the file. Because her venture succeeded. What do you mean? During the 3 years she worked at that ad agency, she was secretly building her own media company. It's now valued at over $50 million. And, he added, she met Ryan Evans. His family is also wealthy. They're a better match, socially and financially. I gave a bitter laugh. So she didn't need me anymore. Correct. And she was worried that if you found out who she really was, you'd demand a share of her assets. So she proactively divorced me and tried to buy me off with $5 million. The information hit me like a physical blow. In her eyes, I was nothing more than a disposable tool. Mr. Frank, who hired you to do this? Frank hesitated. It was Ryan Evans. Ryan? Why would he investigate Sophia? When did he hire you? Yesterday. Yesterday. Right after our meeting. It seemed my words had planted a seed of doubt. What else did he say? He said if Sophia was hiding something, he wanted me to tell you the truth. I nodded. Ryan may have stolen my wife, but at least he had some integrity. He wanted me to know what I'd been dealing with. Mr. Frank, can I keep these documents? Of course. They were meant for you. I took the file back to my office and read it from cover to cover. My emotions were a tangled mess. Sophia had hidden everything so well. Even her full identity was a lie. No wonder she never wanted me to visit her family, always making excuses that her parents wouldn't approve of us. The truth was, she was afraid I'd discover her real life. I remembered a small detail. When we got our marriage license 3 years ago, she presented her ID. I'd only glanced at it. Now I realized it was probably fake, or she had somehow managed to deceive the clerk. Regardless, our entire marriage was built on a foundation of lies. I took out my phone and sent Sophia a text. Sophia, we need to talk. 5 minutes later, she replied, you know? I know. Where? The old spot. The old spot was the bench by the lake in Central Park where we had our first date. An hour later, I saw her standing there. She was as beautiful as ever. But to me, she was now a stranger. Alex, she said, walking toward me. Should I call you Sophia? Or Ms. Reed? I said coldly. She bit her lip. Whatever you want. Why did you lie to me? She was silent for a long time before finally speaking. At first, I just wanted to hide who I was, to see what it was like to be a normal person. And later, I got used to it. You got used to lying? She nodded. Yes. I stared at her, a wave of fury washing over me. Sophia, do you have any idea how much damage your lies have caused? I know. Her eyes reddened. That's why I gave you the $5 million. $5 million. I laughed without humor. You think $5 million can buy back 3 years of my life and my trust? No, she whispered, shaking her head. But it was all I could do. Why couldn't you just be honest with me? Why not tell me the truth? Sophia stared out at the water, her voice barely a whisper. Because I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid that if you knew who I was, you would change. I was stunned. What does that mean? Alex, do you know what it's like? Growing up, every single person who got close to me was after my family's money. I wanted a real relationship, someone who loved me for me. So I hid my identity, to see if anyone would ever fall in love with the real me. Listening to her, I was torn. On one hand, I understood her motive. On the other, I couldn't forgive her deception. Then why divorce me? If I loved the real you, why couldn't we continue? Sophia turned to face me. Because we don't fit. How do we not fit? We live in different worlds, Alex. Sooner or later, I had to go back to my world, and you don't belong there. So you chose Ryan? She nodded. He's from the same world as me. I finally understood. In her eyes, I would always be the ordinary guy who wasn't good enough for her. Even if she had loved me once, the reality of our different lives made her choose to leave. Sophia, if you could go back in time, would you still have married me? She thought for a long moment. Yes, but I would have told you the truth. Then why can't we start over now? Because it's too late, she said, shaking her head. Ryan and I have feelings for each other. I laughed bitterly. Feelings? How long have you known him? A year. A year. I was floored. You've known him for a year? Sophia nodded. A year ago, we were living a normal married life. She was still telling me she loved me. It turned out she was already seeing someone else behind my back. Sophia, you truly are something else. I stood up, ready to leave. Alex, she called out. What now? I'm sorry. I turned back to look at her. If sorry was enough, we wouldn't need lawyers. Then what do you want? I don't want anything from you, I said firmly. From now on, we go our separate ways. What about the 5 million? I'm sending it back. Sophia looked stunned. Why? Because I don't want to be indebted to you. With that, I walked away without looking back. Back home, I pulled out my bank card, ready to transfer the $5 million back to her. But as I was about to confirm the transaction, I stopped. Why should I give it back? This money was the price she paid for 3 years of deceit. It was mine, fair and square. And I could use this money to do something meaningful. I could invest it. I could start my own company. I could build a better life. I wouldn't let Sophia's money, or her betrayal, go to waste. I would use it to become a better version of myself. Once I made that decision, a weight lifted off my shoulders. The past was the past. The future was mine to create. Sophia Reed, thank you for showing me what fake love looks like. From now on, I will never trust so easily again. But I will live well. I can have a brilliant life without you. News of Sophia's wedding started to spread. No one knew the details, but they all guessed we were divorced. Alex, what's going on? I saw on social media that your wife got married. My coworker, Kevin, asked, leaning over my cubicle. We're divorced, I said flatly. When did that happen? We had no idea. The ink is barely dry. Kevin was about to ask more, but our department head, Susan, called him away. Susan was in her 40s and had always been good to me. Alex, can you come to my office for a minute? I followed her in and sat down. I brought you a tea, she said, placing a mug in front of me. I heard you got divorced. Yes. Do you mind if I ask why? I paused. We grew apart. Susan nodded. Relationships are complicated. I won't pry. But what? But I heard your ex-wife married a very wealthy man. I gave a weak smile. That's right. Alex, doesn't that strike you as odd? What do you mean? A woman gets divorced and remarries almost immediately. What does that tell you? It tells me she had her next move lined up. Exactly. Susan slapped her desk lightly. That's called adultery. I shook my head. It's over, Susan. Let it go. Let it go, she said, her voice rising. Alex, do you know the legal consequences of adultery during a marriage? What consequences? According to the law, the cheating spouse is entitled to a smaller portion of the marital assets, or even nothing at all. I was taken aback. I had no idea. Susan, our asset division is already settled. It can be challenged, she insisted. Alex, do you have any idea how much your ex-wife's family is worth? Ido. Around $500 million. Susan nearly dropped her tea. $500 million? Yes. And how much did you get? 5 million. Susan did the math in her head. 5 million divided by 500 million is 1%. Alex, you got 1% of her family's wealth. I'd never thought of it like that. Now that she put it in numbers, it did seem ridiculously small. But Susan, that's all her premarital property. Premarital property can be complicated, she said, pulling out her phone. I have a friend who's a lawyer. She specializes in these kinds of cases. I stopped her. Susan, really, it's fine. I don't want to get tangled up with her again. Alex, you're too soft, Susan said, frustrated. She lied to you for 3 years, and you're just going to let her walk away? I just want to start a new life. Susan sighed. Fine, it's your decision. I won't force you. But what? But you need to be careful. A woman like Sophia is cunning. Who knows what else she has up her sleeve? Her words left me feeling uneasy. What else could Sophia do? We were divorced. She was married. What more could there be? That afternoon, I got a phone call. Mr. Carter, this is a manager from Chase Bank. There's been some unusual activity on your account. We need you to come in. Unusual activity? I dropped everything and drove to the bank. A manager greeted me politely. Mr. Carter, your account has been frozen by a court order. What? I was stunned. Why was it frozen? The manager handed me a document. Someone has filed a lawsuit against you, claiming an unknown source of funds. I took the document and read it. Plaintiff, Sophia Reed. Lawsuit. To freeze Alex Carter's bank account and investigate the source of funds. Reason. Suspected transfer of marital assets during the marriage. I was shaking with fury. What was she doing? She was the one who gave me the money, and now she was accusing me of stealing it. How long will the account be frozen? Until the court reaches a verdict. And how long will that take? Could be 6 months, could be a year. My world tilted on its axis. My $5 million was frozen, and I only had a few $1,000s in my checking account. That wasn't even enough to cover my mortgage payments. I pulled out my phone and called Sophia. The number you have dialed has been disconnected or is no longer in service. She'd changed her number. I sent her a text, but it failed to deliver. She had blocked me. I wanted to find her, but I had no idea where she lived now. She was married to Ryan. They would have moved. I thought of the PI, Frank, and called him. Frank, I need to know Sophia Reed's current address. Mr. Carter, I can't provide that. Why not? Because Ryan Evans is now my client, and I'm investigating her. If I gave you her information, it would be a breach of client confidentiality. I understood. Everyone was on Sophia's side now. I was fighting this battle alone. That night, I went home and looked up the relevant laws online. It was true. If one party suspected the other of hiding assets, they could petition the court to freeze their accounts. But what Sophia was doing was malicious. She gave me the money, and now she was turning it against me. I remembered what Susan said. I pulled out my phone and called her. Susan, can you give me the number for that lawyer friend of yours? Of course. You finally came to your senses. I have to fight back. Good. I'll send you her number right now. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. Mr. Carter, this is Jessica Alvarez. Susan told me about your situation. Ms. Alvarez, I need your help to fight this case. I'm on it, but I need to get some details. When can you come to my office? Tomorrow afternoon. Perfect. I'll be waiting. After hanging up, I felt a surge of determination. Sophia, you think you can push me around? You are sorely mistaken. I may be an honest man, but I am not a weak one. If you want to play games, I'll play. And this time, I will make you pay. Not only did Sophia sue me for transferring assets, she also filed a claim accusing me of adultery. When I saw the accusation, I almost laughed out loud. She was the one who cheated, and she had the nerve to accuse me? Her ability to twist the truth was truly breathtaking. I called Jessica Alvarez immediately. Jessica, Sophia's added another claim to the lawsuit. I saw. Jessica's voice was calm and steady. She's playing with fire. What do you mean? The more baseless accusations she throws around, the better it is for us. Why? Because it shows she's desperate. People only resort to these kinds of tactics when they know they're in the wrong. I felt a sense of relief. So what's our move? We fight fire with fire, Jessica said firmly. She's accusing you of adultery? We'll countersue her for the same thing. Can we do that? Absolutely. And our evidence is much stronger than hers. That afternoon, Jessica sent me a copy of our countersuit. The claims were a ruling that Sophia Reed committed adultery during the marriage, a ruling that the marriage was invalid due to fraudulent misrepresentation of her identity, a demand for $10 million in punitive damages for emotional distress, a demand that Sophia Reed cover all legal fees. After reading it, I felt a surge of vindication. We weren't just defending anymore. We were on the attack. Sophia, you wanted a fight? You got one. The next day, I was at the bank when I ran into Ryan Evans. He looked exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes. Mr. Carter, he said, approaching me. Mr. Evans. I was civil. Can we talk for a minute? Sure. We sat down at the coffee shop next door. Mr. Carter. I heard you and Sophia are in a legal battle. That's right, I said, not hiding anything. She sued me first. Ryan nodded. I know. Mr. Evans. Your expression tells me you have something to say. He hesitated. Mr. Carter, would you consider dropping the suit? Why? Because this lawsuit isn't good for anyone. I scoffed. It may not be good for you, but it's good for me. How so? It will clear my name. I looked him straight in the eye. Mr. Evans, you and I both know the person who cheated was Sophia, not me. Ryan's face fell. You know everything? Know what? That you and Sophia knew each other for a year. I nodded. I know that, and I know more. Mr. Carter, I can assure you, nothing physical happened between me and Sophia. Physical. The word was so absurd I almost laughed. Mr. Evans, do you think cheating is only about sex? Ryan was speechless. There's also emotional cheating, I continued. While Sophia was married to me, her heart was with you. What do you call that if not cheating? Ryan had no answer. And besides, I said, pulling out my phone, I have evidence that your relationship was more than just emotional. I showed him the hotel records Jessica had subpoenaed. Last August, you two checked into the Grand Hyatt. Last October, the Shangri-La. In March of this year, the Intercontinental. With every entry, the color drained further from Ryan's face. Mr. Carter, this is evidence obtained through a court order, I said, putting my phone away. Mr. Evans, do you still want to claim nothing physical happened? Ryan was utterly defeated. After a long silence, he finally spoke. Mr. Carter, what do you want? I want a public apology from Sophia, admitting what she did. And compensation for my emotional distress. How much? $10 million. Ryan gasped. That's a lot. It's not, I said calmly. She lied to me for 3 years. That comes out to a little over $3 million a year. It's a reasonable price. And if she doesn't agree, then I'll see you both in court. I stood up. Mr. Evans, let me give you some advice. You need to talk some sense into your new wife. Tell her to stop before she makes things even worse for herself. She's already withdrawn her lawsuit against you. I was surprised. When? Yesterday, Ryan said with a bitter smile. She knows she has no case. She doesn't want this to get any uglier. What about my countersuit? She's hoping you'll withdraw it as well. I shook my head. Not a chance. Why not? Because I deserve an explanation. I looked at him. Mr. Evans, can you understand what it feels like to be deceived for 3 years by the woman you love most in the world? Ryan nodded slowly. I think I can, because I was deceived by her too. You were? She told me you were a terrible husband, that you used to hit her. I scoffed. What else did she say? That you were a failure, that you couldn't make any money and just leached off your parents. And she said you had a violent temper, that she lived in constant fear. I was shaking with rage. Sophia had painted me as a monster just to be with him. Mr. Evans, do you believe any of that? Ryan shook his head. Not anymore. Why not? Because over the past few weeks, I've realized Sophia is a very good liar. For instance, she told me she was a virgin. A doctor's visit proved that wasn't true. I was shocked. Sophia would lie about something like that. What was her explanation? She said it was from a sports injury. Ryan laughed weakly. I actually believed her. And now I know it was because she had a husband. I nodded. Mr. Evans, it seems she's hurt you badly as well. She has, he sighed. I thought I'd found the love of my life. You never expected to find a professional con artist. Ryan nodded. Mr. Carter, can I ask you a question? Go ahead. Do you think Sophia ever loved you? I thought for a long time. Maybe she did once, but it was a shallow kind of love, the kind that couldn't withstand any real test. And does she love me? What do you think? Ryan shook his head. I don't know. She's been so cold to me lately. She's barely ever home. Where does she go? She says she's busy with her company. I remembered what Frank had discovered. She does have her own company. You know about it? A little. A media company. valued at 50 million. Ryan was stunned. 50 million? She told me it was only worth a few million. Seeing the shock on his face, I almost felt sorry for him. This man, just like me, had been played for a fool by Sophia. Mr. Evans, I suggest you do a deep dive into Sophia's background. If you don't, you're going to regret it. You mean? I mean, she's probably lied to more people than just the two of us. Ryan's face turned white. After a moment, he asked, Mr. Carter, if I agree to testify for you, would you consider reducing the compensation amount? You're willing to testify? I am, Ryan said firmly. I'm done being lied to. I considered it. All right, if you testify in court and confirm Sophia's adultery, I'll reduce the demand to 5 million. Deal. Ryan extended his hand. I shook it. It was a strange feeling, turning an enemy into an ally. But I knew it was the right move. Sophia was too skilled at manipulation. Only by working together could we expose the truth. Mr. Evans, one more thing I should remind you of. What's that? Your wedding to Sophia is legally invalid. Why? Because when you married her, she was still legally married to me. Ryan stared at me, speechless for a long moment. Then what are we now? You're cohabitating. And if I want to break up, you can at any time. There's no legal bond between you. Ryan nodded slowly. I understand. We talked for a little longer, planning the details of his testimony. When I left the coffee shop, I felt a sense of triumph. With Ryan's testimony, we were sure to win this case. Sophia, for all your cleverness, you made one critical miscalculation. You thought every man would be so captivated by your beauty that they would protect your secrets. You never imagined that the men you hurt would team up against you. This is the price of your betrayal. That evening, I got a call from Jessica. Alex, I have good news. What is it? Sophia has requested to settle. Settle? I laughed coldly. She's finally scared? Her lawyer probably told her she has no chance of winning. What are her terms? She's offering 3 million, and both parties drop all lawsuits. I thought for a moment, not enough. What are your demands? 5 million, a public apology, and a full admission of her actions. All right, I'll relay that to her lawyer. After hanging up, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Sophia was finally going to pay for what she did. $5 million might not mean much to her, but it was about the principle. She had to admit her mistakes and take responsibility for her deception. The next day, Jessica called back. Alex, she agreed. To all the terms? Yes, 5 million in damages, a public apology, and a written admission of adultery and fraudulent misrepresentation. I let out a long breath. When do we sign? Tomorrow afternoon. Okay. After hanging up, my mind drifted back 3 years. Back then, Sophia was a seemingly innocent and kind college student. She would be thrilled by a simple bouquet of flowers, moved to tears by a sweet word. I thought we would be happy forever. I never imagined it was all an illusion. She was acting from the very beginning, playing the part of a loving wife. Now, the show was finally over, and she was about to pay for her performance. $5 million was a new beginning for me. I could use it to invest, to start a business, to travel the world. My life was about to turn a new page. Sophia, thank you for teaching me what reality is. I will never be so naive about love again. But I will live a good life, and I will work for a better tomorrow. I wasn't trying to impress Sophia. I was trying to give myself a spine. In the law firm's conference room, Sophia was already waiting. She wore a sophisticated pantsuit, and her makeup was flawless. She looked elegant, poised, but in my eyes, all her beauty had vanished. Alex, she said, greeting me as I walked in. I ignored her and sat down next to Jessica. Sophia's lawyer was a man in his 50s, with a shrewd, weathered look. All right, everyone, let's begin, Jessica said, producing the settlement agreement. The terms were simple. Sophia Reed will pay Alex Carter $5 million in damages for emotional distress. Sophia Reed will publicly acknowledge the facts of her infidelity and fraudulent misrepresentation. Both parties will withdraw all lawsuits and waive any future claims. Sophia's lawyer reviewed it. No issues. Sophia picked up a pen and signed her name. When it was my turn, I paused deliberately. Sophia, is there anything you want to say to me? She looked up, her eyes a mix of complicated emotions. I'm sorry, she said, her voice soft. Louder. I can't hear you. I'm sorry, she repeated, her voice sharp. I'm sorry, Alex. I hurt you. And I shouldn't have hidden who I was. I shouldn't have cheated. I shouldn't have lied to you. I nodded, satisfied, and signed the agreement. When will the 5 million be transferred? This afternoon, Sophia said. I stood up and prepared to leave. Alex, she called out again. What now? Nothing. It's just. She trailed off. Just what? I just hope you'll be happy. I laughed coldly. I don't need your concern. Without another word, I walked out. Stepping out of the law firm, I felt a huge weight lift from my shoulders. The whole ugly ordeal was finally over. I had not only gotten my money back, but I had also forced Sophia to admit her wrongdoing. It couldn't erase the pain, but it was a form of justice. That afternoon, $5 million hit my account. Combined with the initial payment, I now had $10 million. Enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life. I thought of Susan and gave her a call. Susan, I'd like to buy you dinner. Is the lawsuit over? It is. I won. That's fantastic. Where are we eating tonight? The best steakhouse in the city. That night, Susan arrived at the restaurant, and I told her the whole story. When I finished, she applauded. Alex, you finally stood up for yourself. It was thanks to your advice. You deserved it. Susan raised her glass. Here's to your new life. We clinked glasses and drank. Alex, what are your plans now? I thought for a moment. I'm thinking of quitting my job and starting my own business. A business? Doing what? I haven't decided yet. Maybe start a small investment firm, or maybe fund other entrepreneurs. Susan nodded. With your skills and your capital, that sounds very promising. I'm going to think it through carefully. We talked for a while longer, and then Susan suddenly said, Alex, I have a niece. She's 28, a doctor. Would you be interested in meeting her? I shook my head. Susan, I'm not ready to think about relationships right now. Why not? Sophia did a number on me. It's going to be a while before I can trust anyone again. Susan nodded in understanding. I get it. Take your time. No rush. After dinner, I drove home. As I passed by Central Park, I pulled over and got out. That park held so many memories of me and Sophia. Our first date, our first kiss, the first time I told her I loved her. It all seemed so perfect then. I thought I had found my soulmate. Now, I knew those beautiful memories were built on lies. I sat on a bench by the lake, took out my phone, and deleted every photo I had of Sophia. Our pictures together, her solo shots, even photos of meals we'd shared. When I was done, my heart felt strangely empty. 3 years of memories, wiped clean in an instant. But it had to be done. Only by letting go of the past could I embrace the future. I took out my phone again and called a real estate agent. Hi, I'd like to sell my condo. Which one? I gave him the address and details. Oh, that's a great property. It'll sell fast. The market price is around $600,000 now. 600,000? I was surprised. It's gone up a lot in 3 years. Yes, it's a very hot neighborhood. When are you available for showings? Tomorrow afternoon. Great. I'll be in touch. After hanging up, I sent an email to my company's HR department. A letter of resignation. Reason: personal development. Last day, 1 month from now. After sending the email, I felt a profound sense of liberation. Sell the condo, quit the job, and leave the past behind completely. Then, I would use this money to do something meaningful. Maybe start a business, maybe invest, maybe travel the world. Whatever I did, I was going to live a completely new life. Sophia had caused me immense pain, but she had also given me a chance to start over. In a way, I should thank her. Thank her for showing me what fake love looks like. Thank her for teaching me how cruel people can be. And thank her for giving me the capital to redesign my own life. From now on, I would never be so naive again. I would be more rational about relationships, more cautious about who I let into my life. I would focus on my career and prove my own worth through my success. Sophia, you thought you could discard me and move on to a better life. You were wrong. The person who is going to have a better life is me. I will prove with my actions just how foolish your choice was. You will regret it, but by then, it will be far too late. My coworkers were shocked and kept asking why I was leaving. My standard answer was, I just need a change of scenery. I didn't want to tell them the real reason. Who would believe a story about getting a $10 million divorce settlement? Besides, it was my private life. My manager called me in for a chat. Alex, are you sure you want to resign? I'm sure. Can you tell me why? Is there something the company did? I shook my head. It's not the company. It's a personal reason. What reason? I want to start my own business. He was taken aback. Start a business? Do you have the capital? A little. How much? I thought for a moment. A few million. He was stunned. A few million? Where did you get that kind of money? From the divorce. He nodded, understanding dawning on his face. I see. So your ex-wife's family really is that wealthy. I didn't elaborate. It was better to let them think it was a straightforward divorce settlement. At least no one would question where my money came from. After work, I went to look at some office spaces. If I was going to start a business, I needed a base of operations. I found a 2,000 square foot office in a prime location in the financial district. The rent wasn't cheap, $250,000 a year, but the address was prestigious and perfect for my purposes. What industry will you be in, sir? The real estate agent asked. Investment management. That's a lucrative field. This location is perfect for that. I signed the lease on the spot and paid for the first year. Then I hired a design firm to start renovating the office. My instructions were simple. Modern, minimalist, and professional. I budgeted another $200,000 for the renovations. Everything was moving according to plan. I even found a buyer for my condo. He was a businessman who made a cash offer of $600,000. No questions asked. I accepted. In 3 days, the deal would close, and I would be completely free of my past. In the midst of all this, I got a call from Ryan Evans. Alex, Sophia, and I broke up. Broke up? I was a little surprised. What happened? I found out she was lying to me again. How so? She told me her company was only worth a few million. It's actually worth 50. And she's been seeing another guy on the side. I was floored. Another guy? A 23-year-old model. Very handsome. How did you find out? I hired a PI to follow her. He got pictures. I suddenly understood. Ryan, does Sophia have some kind of problem? What do you mean? Like, an addiction to juggling multiple partners. Ryan was silent for a moment. Maybe. She once told me she likes the feeling of being loved by many people at once. I let out a bitter laugh. So we were just part of her collection. It seems so, Ryan sighed. Alex, I really regret what I did to you. Don't, Ryan. She was the one who chose to betray me. You didn't force her. But? No buts. I cut him off. We both see her for who she is now. So what are you going to do? Me? I thought for a moment. I'm going to forget her and start my new life. I envy your freedom. Ryan, you should start over too. A woman like Sophia isn't worth any man's grief. You're right. Ryan's voice sounded stronger. I'm going to focus on my business. No more relationships for me. That's the spirit. We talked for a little longer, encouraging each other. Two men, hurt by the same woman, had somehow become friends. It was a strange, but real, turn of events. After hanging up, I thought about Sophia. What was going on in her head? Juggling 3 men at once. Wasn't she exhausted? Or did she just enjoy the chaos? Maybe love was just a game to her, and we were all just pawns. Whatever it was, I was glad I was out. I didn't know how much longer I could have been deceived. Now I was free. I had money, time, and a dream. This was what life was supposed to be. The next day, I went to the office to finalize my resignation. HR was efficient, and it was done in no time. Susan took me out for a farewell lunch. Alex, keep in touch. Maybe we can work together someday. Definitely. I raised my glass. Thank you for everything over the years, Susan. Don't be a stranger, she said, raising her glass. To your success. We toasted and drank. Leaving the office for the last time was a strange feeling. I had worked there for 5 years. It wasn't a glamorous job, but it was a part of my life. Leaving it behind felt bittersweet. But that's life. You have to let go to move forward. I drove around the city for a while and ended up at a Mercedes-Benz dealership. A new life deserved a new car. My old one was 3 years old and suddenly felt shabby. Can I help you, sir? A salesman asked eagerly. The S-Class. Excellent choice. Right this way. He showed me a few models. I picked a black S450. The final price came to about $110,000. Will that be cash or finance, sir? Cash. The salesman's eyes lit up. Of course, sir. I'll get the paperwork started right away. As I swiped my card, a strange feeling washed over me. I used to only dream of owning a car like this. Now I could buy one without a second thought. Money really does change things. It changes your perspective, your confidence. When I picked up the car, I sent a text to Ryan. Got a new car, Mercedes S-Class. He replied almost instantly, congrats. I'm thinking of getting a new one too. What are you thinking? Porsche 911. Nice choice. Want to come with? Sure. I drove my new Mercedes to pick up Ryan. Two men, scorned by the same woman, were now going luxury car shopping together. Felt good. It felt like a declaration to the world. We're better off without Sophia Reed. At the Porsche dealership, Ryan quickly settled on a red 911. The price was $180,000. He also paid in full. Man, we're both rich now, Ryan joked. Yeah, thanks to Sophia. I laughed. Should we celebrate? How? Drinks at a bar? I thought for a moment. Yeah, let's do it. We drove our new cars to the most exclusive bar in the city. We got a private room and ordered the most expensive whiskey on the menu. To a new life, Ryan said, raising his glass. To a new life. I raised mine. We drank a lot and talked for hours. About the past, the future, our dreams. Suddenly, Ryan asked me, Alex, do you hate Sophia? I thought for a long time. No. Why not? Because hating someone is exhausting. I took another sip of whiskey. And besides, she helped me grow up. How so? The old me was too naive. I thought everyone in the world was good. And now I know that people can be malicious, and you have to be on your guard. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? A good thing, I said firmly. At least I won't get so easily fooled again. Ryan nodded. I feel the same way. Sophia taught us a hard lesson about reality. She did. I raised my glass. To Professor Sophia Reed. For the life lessons. Haha. Well said. Ryan raised his glass too. To Professor Reed. We clinked glasses and drank. That night we got very drunk. But we were happy. We both knew the hardest part was over. Now it was time to enjoy our new lives. I named my company Odyssey Capital Management. It symbolized a new journey and investing in dreams. I hired 5 employees. A chief investment officer, 2 investment managers, a CFO, and an office administrator. They were all top talent from the industry, and their salaries weren't cheap. But I didn't care about the cost. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. On opening day, Ryan sent a huge flower arrangement with a card that read, wishing Odyssey Capital a prosperous future. Susan also came and brought a few of her friends, all wealthy business owners and potential clients. Alex, congratulations, Susan said, beaming. From employee to boss. That's quite a transformation. It was thanks to your support, Susan. Don't be modest. She clapped my shoulder. If you have any good projects, remember to include me. Of course. I explained our business model to everyone. It had 2 main components. Customized asset management for our clients, and our own proprietary investments. Simply put, we used our expertise to make money for our clients and for ourselves. My CIO, David Chun, was a 35-year-old who had spent 10 years on Wall Street. He presented a few of his past successes to the potential clients. They listened intently and expressed strong interest in working with us. By the end of the day, we had signed 3 clients with a total of $10 million in assets under management. It was a fantastic start. That night, I took my team out to dinner. Everyone, I said, raising my glass. Our company may be new, but our goal is clear. What's the goal, Alex? David asked. To have $1 billion in assets under management within 3 years. Everyone was stunned. $1 billion was a massive number. Alex, that's a pretty ambitious target, one of the managers said. Is it? I said confidently. If we do our job well, $1 billion in 3 years is not a problem. So what's our strategy? Professionalism, precision, and personalization, I said. Every client gets a tailor-made investment plan. Understood. David nodded. We'll give it our all. Good. I raised my glass again. To the future of Odyssey Capital. Cheers. Everyone raised their glasses. The atmosphere electric with excitement. The next day, my life as an investor officially began. I used my own money to invest in a few projects, buying some blue-chip stocks and funding 2 promising startups. I also diversified with some low-risk bonds. After 1 month, my portfolio's return was 15%. In the investment world, that was an excellent result. My clients were thrilled and started to increase their investments. Our assets under management quickly grew to over $50 million. I felt like everything was finally going my way, just as I was basking in my success. An unexpected call came in. Mr. Carter, it's Sophia Reed. Hearing her voice, I froze for a second. What do you want? My tone was icy. I need to see you. We have nothing to talk about. We do. Her voice was urgent. It's very important. What is it? I can't say over the phone. We have to meet. I paused. Where? The old spot. The bench by the lake. When? Now. Now. I checked the time. It was 8 p.m. It's late. It's an emergency. I thought for a moment. I'll be there in an hour. Okay. Thank you. After hanging up, I was puzzled. What could Sophia possibly want? Everything between us was settled. Had she gotten into some new kind of trouble? An hour later, I arrived at the park. Sophia was already there, waiting. She looked haggard, all her former radiance gone. Alex, you came, she said, standing up. What is it? I didn't sit down, keeping my distance. I need you to do me a favor. A favor. I scoffed. Sophia, do you really think I would ever help you again? I know this is a lot to ask, but I have no one else to turn to. What is it? Sophia bit her lip. I need money. Money? I was even more confused. Aren't you rich? $500 million, wasn't it? I can't touch that money. Why not? Because my father froze my shares in the company. I started to understand. Why? Because of my lifestyle. Sophia looked down. He found out about the men. Men? Plural? Besides you and Ryan, there was the model. I shook my head. Sophia, you really are? I don't even know what to say. I know I'm a mess. Her eyes welled up with tears. But I can't control it. Control what? The desire to be loved. Looking at her, I felt a flicker of pity. This woman might actually have a serious problem. Sophia, you should see a therapist. I have. The doctor said I have a love addiction. A love addiction? It means I need to be in multiple romantic relationships at the same time to feel secure. I had heard of such a thing, but I never thought it would be so close to home. So how are you doing now? I'm miserable, she said, wiping her tears. Ryan won't talk to me, and the model left me. What about your company? My father took it back. I was silent. It seemed Sophia had hit rock bottom, from a wealthy heiress to being completely broke. How much do you need? I asked. $1 million. $1 million. I was surprised. What for? To go abroad for treatment. There's a special clinic that treats this kind of disorder. I thought for a long time. Sophia, why should I help you? Just for the sake of the love we once shared. Love. I laughed bitterly. Did we ever have real love? Sophia was silent. After a long moment, she said, at least, in the beginning, I truly loved you. When was that? When we first met, she said, looking at me. You were so good to me. I was so touched. And then, I couldn't control it. I always wanted more. I understood. Sophia wasn't an evil person. She was sick. Her love addiction had caused her to hurt a lot of people. Sophia, I can lend you the money. Her eyes lit up. Really? But on 3 conditions. What conditions? First, this is a loan. You have to pay it back. Second, you have to seriously get help. Third, after you get better, you can't hurt anyone else. Sophia nodded vigorously. I promise. Okay. I took out my phone. Give me your account number. You'll transfer it now? Yes. She gave me the number, and I transferred $1 million on the spot. Alex, thank you. She sobbed. You're the only one who was willing to help me. Don't thank me, I said, standing up. Get well. Start a new life. I will. Sophia, I called out as I turned to leave. Yes. This is the last time we will see each other. Don't contact me again. She nodded. I understand. I walked away from the park. On the way home, my feelings were a mess. On one hand, I was proud of my own compassion. On the other, I felt a deep sadness for Sophia. Such a beautiful, intelligent woman, tormented by a mental illness. I hoped she could get better and start over, and I hoped she would never hurt anyone again. Back home, I sent a text to Ryan. I saw Sophia today. He replied quickly. What happened? She has a love addiction. She's going abroad for treatment. A love addiction. A psychological condition where she needs multiple partners to feel secure. I see. He replied with a light bulb emoji. That explains a lot. I lent her $1 million. You're still helping her. She's sick. Ryan, I couldn't just let her fall apart. Ryan was silent for a moment. You're a better man than I am. Alex, it's not about being better. It's about letting go. What do you mean? Helping her was the final step in helping myself move on. I get it. He replied with a thumbs-up emoji. You did the right thing. I turned off my phone and got ready for bed. There was a lot of work to do tomorrow. The company was growing. Clients needed attention. Projects needed to be managed. A busy life was the best therapy. Sophia, I wish you a speedy recovery. I hope you find real happiness. As for me, I will continue on the path I have chosen. Our assets under management surpassed $200 million, and we had over 50 clients. The projects we invested in were all yielding great returns, and we had built a solid reputation in the industry. David often told me, Alex, your investment instincts are spot on. Just lucky. I would always reply, but I knew it was more than luck. After what I went through with Sophia, my judgment of people and situations had become much sharper. I could see past the surface, avoid the pitfalls. One afternoon, I was in my office analyzing a new project when my assistant knocked. Mr. Carter, there's a woman here to see you. Who is it? She says her name is Leah Vance, and that a friend of yours sent her. I thought for a moment. Let her in. A woman in her early 30s walked in. She was dressed in a tasteful business suit, with light makeup that highlighted her intelligent features. Mr. Carter, hello? She extended her hand. I'm Leah Vance. Ms. Vance, please have a seat. I shook her hand. Which friend recommended me? It was Susan, she said, referring to my old manager. She said you're an investment expert, and I wanted to get your advice. What kind of project are you looking to invest in? Leah handed me a folder. I want to open a high-end beauty and wellness spa. I took the proposal and read through it. It was professionally done, with detailed market analysis, financial projections, and risk assessments. Ms. Vance, how much capital does this project require? The total investment is $500,000. I have $200,000 of my own, so I need another $300,000. What's your background? I used to be an esthetician, and then I moved into training, Leah said honestly. I've built up a lot of experience and a strong network. I nodded. The beauty industry was definitely a growth sector, especially at the high end. Ms. Vance, I'll need to do a thorough evaluation of your project. Give me 1 week, and I'll get back to you. Of course. Leah stood up. Thank you for your time. Wait, I said, stopping her. Ms. Vance, do you mind if I ask a personal question? What is it? For instance, your marital status. Leah paused, then smiled. Mr. Carter, does that have anything to do with the investment? Absolutely, I said seriously. An entrepreneur's personal stability has a direct impact on a project's success rate. I see. Leah considered this. I've been divorced for 2 years. I have a son. How old is he? 6. He's in 1st grade. I mentally gave her bonus points. A single mother starting a business had stronger motivation and greater resilience. Any other questions? Leah asked. Not for now. I'll be in touch in a week. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Carter. After Leah left, I carefully studied her business plan. Overall, it was a solid project. The market positioning was clear, the financial planning was sound, and the risks were manageable. And the wellness industry was indeed booming. 3 days later, I made my decision. I would invest $300,000 for a 30% stake. I called Leah. Ms. Vance, we'd like to invest in your project. Really? Her voice was filled with excitement. That's wonderful. But we have some conditions. What are they? Financial transparency is a must, and we need to be involved in all major decisions. No problem. Then let's set up a time to discuss the details. Is tomorrow afternoon good for you? Perfect. The next day, Leah arrived at my office on time. We talked for 2 hours and finalized all the details of our partnership. As we were signing the contract, Leah said, Mr. Carter, thank you for believing in me. Ms. Vance, I'm not investing in the project. I'm investing in you, I said sincerely. I believe in your ability and your character. I won't let you down. I know you won't. After signing, we went out for a celebratory dinner. During our conversation, I learned more about Leah. Her ex-husband was a civil servant. A decent guy, but with no ambition. They had different values and eventually divorced. She had custody of their son and had been juggling work and parenting on her own. It hadn't been easy. Ms. Vance, starting a business will be incredibly demanding. What about your son? My mom is coming to help out, Leah said, and I'll manage my time carefully. I won't neglect him. I nodded. This woman had a strong sense of responsibility. She was a good mother. Mr. Carter, can I ask you a personal question? Leah suddenly asked. What is it? Are you married? I paused. Divorced. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. It's okay. I smiled. Why do you ask? Leah blushed. Just curious. I understood what she was hinting at, but I wasn't ready to jump into a new relationship. After Sophia, I was still wary. Ms. Vance, let's focus on the business for now. Yes, of course. Business first, Leah said. Realizing she might have been too forward, we quickly changed the subject. But I had a feeling Leah might be interested in me. It was a slightly uncomfortable thought. On one hand, Leah was a genuinely good woman. On the other, I wasn't ready for a relationship. Back at the office, David asked me, So, Alex, how did the meeting go? We signed a $300,000 investment. Is the project promising? It is, I said confidently, and the founder is impressive too. The founder? David grinned. Alex, are you interested in this, Ms. Vance? Don't be ridiculous. I shot back. It's a purely business investment. Is it? David was still smiling. Then why did you handle the meeting yourself instead of sending one of the managers? I had no comeback. It was true. According to our process, a small investment like this should have been handled by one of my managers. The fact that I did it myself was unusual. All right, I admit it. I sighed. She made a good impression on me. I knew it. David said triumphantly. Alex, you need to get back out there. I'm not ready. When will you be? I don't know. I shook my head. Maybe never. Why? Because I'm afraid of getting hurt again. David nodded in understanding. He knew about my divorce, and while he didn't know the details, he could guess that it had been painful. Alex, not all women are the same. I know, I said with a wry smile, but I need time. Then take your time, David said, patting my shoulder, but don't let fear make you miss out on someone great. I nodded. David was right. I couldn't let what Sophia did ruin my chances with everyone else, but I truly did need time to heal. That night, I stayed late at the office, finishing up some work. Around 9, I was heading home. As I got to the lobby, I saw Leah standing there. Leah, I was surprised. What are you doing here? I wanted to see if you wanted to grab a late dinner, she said, looking a little nervous. To celebrate our new partnership. I glanced at my watch. It's pretty late. I know you work long hours, so I waited. I thought for a moment. All right, but not for too long. You have to get back to your son. He's with my mom tonight. I have time. We went to a small bistro nearby. We ordered some food and a couple of beers. As we talked, I discovered that Leah was a fascinating woman. She was smart, kind, responsible, and had a great sense of humor. She was the complete opposite of Sophia. Sophia was the kind of woman who captivated you at first sight, but her heart was a tangled mess. Leah was the kind of woman whose charm you discovered slowly, but she was real. Alex, why did you decide to start your own business? Leah asked. To prove what I was capable of, I said after a moment, and to have more freedom. Have you achieved your goal? Partially. I smiled, but there's still a long way to go. I feel the same way. Leah raised her beer. To our dreams. To our dreams. We clinked bottles and drank. In that moment, I felt a sense of ease I hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe it was time to give myself a chance. To give Leah a chance and to give myself a chance. After all, you can't live in the shadows of the past forever. The address was in a prime downtown location, and the decor was chic and inviting. I attended the ribbon-cutting ceremony on opening day. The business was an instant hit. Appointments were booked solid for a month. Watching Leah manage the bustling spa, my heart swelled with pride. This woman was truly capable and charismatic. Alex, thank you, Leah said emotionally after the ceremony. None of this would be possible without your investment. This is the result of your own hard work, I said sincerely. I just provided some capital. No, you provided more than just money. You gave me trust and support. Her words warmed me. Over the past few weeks, my impression of Leah had only grown fonder. She wasn't just a strong business partner. She was a genuinely good person. Most importantly, She made me feel a warmth I hadn't felt in years. Leah, are you free tonight? I asked, taking the initiative. To celebrate the grand opening, dinner is on me. Of course I'm free. Her eyes lit up with surprise. But I should be the one treating you. Next time, I smiled. Tonight, it's my treat. We went to a high-end French restaurant. The ambience was romantic, with soft lighting and a live violinist. This place is beautiful, Leah said, looking around. Do you come here often? Not really, I answered honestly. I actually prefer simpler places. Then why did you choose this one? I looked at her. Because I think you deserve the best. Leah blushed and fiddled with her silverware. Alex, if you say things like that, I might get the wrong idea. What idea is that? The idea that you're interested in me. I was silent for a moment, then said, and what if I am? Leah looked up, her eyes wide with a mix of surprise and happiness. Really? Really? I nodded. Leah, I want to be with you. But? She hesitated. We're business partners. So what? I smiled. We can separate our business partnership from our personal relationship. What if we have a disagreement about the business? Then we handle it according to business rules. I said seriously. Business is business, and our relationship is our relationship. Leah thought for a long time, then finally nodded. Okay, I'm willing to try. Really? I could hardly believe it. Really? She smiled. To be honest, I've had feelings for you too. Since when? Since our very first meeting. She admitted, you felt so reliable, like a man I could depend on. Her words were like a balm to my soul. Reliable. I liked that. So, are we officially dating now? I guess so, Leah said shyly. But we need to take it slow. Why? Because I have a child. Things are more complicated. I understood her concern. A single mother has to consider more than just her own feelings. That's fine. We can take our time, I said, taking her hand. I won't pressure you. Thank you for understanding. From that day on, Leah and I started dating. We saw each other 2 or 3 times a week, sometimes for work, sometimes for personal dates. I also met her son, an adorable little boy named Leo. At first, Leo was a bit standoffish, probably worried I was going to take his mom's attention away. But slowly, he began to accept me. I often bought him toys, played games with him, and took him to amusement parks. Uncle Alex, will you stay with me and Mommy forever? Leo asked me one day. If you and your mom want me to, I will. I answered seriously. Yay! Leo jumped up and down. I finally have a dad. His words moved me deeply. This child was missing a father figure, and I was missing a family. Maybe we really could become one. Leah's spa was doing incredibly well. It broke even in 3 months. At this rate, it would be profitable within a year. My investment instincts had proven right once again. Alex, you're my lucky star, Leah often said. We're partners. It's natural to help each other. No, you've helped me far beyond what a partner would do, she said seriously. You've changed my life. It was true. The Leah of today was completely different from the woman I first met. She had gone from a struggling single mother to a successful business owner with a thriving career and a loving relationship. She radiated confidence. It was your own hard work, I said, pulling her into a hug. I just showed up at the right time. Then you're my guardian angel, she murmured, leaning into my embrace. Thank you for coming into my life. Holding her, I felt a deep sense of peace. It was completely different from how I felt with Sophia. With Sophia, I was always anxious, afraid of losing her. With Leah, I felt secure and a sense of belonging. This was what real love was supposed to feel like. A year later, I proposed to Leah. I chose the same French restaurant where we had our first real date. Leah, will you marry me? I knelt on one knee and held out a diamond ring. Yes, she cried, tears of joy streaming down her face. The other diners applauded for us. In that moment, I felt like the happiest man in the world. Our wedding was simple, with only our closest friends and family. Ryan even came. He was focused on his business now and looked much better. Alex, congratulations, he said, clapping my shoulder. You found the real thing. Thanks. I smiled. What about you? Seeing anyone? Nope. He shook his head. After Sophia, I'm still a bit scared of women. Take your time. You'll meet the right person. I hope so. At the wedding, Leah was stunning, like an angel. Leo, in a tiny tuxedo, was our ring bearer, He held my hand and his mom's and said happily, "From today on, we're a family." "Yes, we're a family," I said, ruffling his hair. In that moment, my life finally felt complete. I had a woman I loved, an amazing son, and a successful career. This was the life I had always wanted. After the wedding, we went to the Maldives for our honeymoon. In our villa by the sea, Leah and I talked about the past. "Leah, do you have any regrets about choosing me?" "Why would I regret it?" she asked. "Because I have a failed marriage in my past." "So what?" She smiled. "Everyone has a past. What matters is the present and the future." "You really don't mind?" "I don't," she said seriously. "In fact, I should thank your ex-wife." "Why? If it weren't for her, how would I ever have met someone as wonderful as you?" Hearing her words, my heart felt full. It was true. If Sophia hadn't betrayed me, I wouldn't have gotten divorced. If I hadn't gotten divorced, I wouldn't have started my own company. And if I hadn't started my company, I would never have met Leah. From that perspective, I suppose I should thank Sophia. Thank her for dragging me through the lowest point of my life, so that I could find true happiness. "Leah, I love you," I said, holding her close. "I love you too," she whispered back.